So with emancipation on a global scale, colonial officers and free market liberals, in this case, John Stuart Mill is both, by the way. He's a colonial officer and a free market ideology. So these figures turn to what we might call, and I have to say with apologies to my friend Moon over here, the three C's. The three C's: coolie labor, the continuation of convict labor, and in the colonies, corvée labor, okay? Unfree labor. Okay? And I'm not the first to say this, but I just want to say, I'm just repeating what other people have said. Unfree labor is almost like more the norm than free labor, okay? Now, a couple things about this. Who is coolie labor? Who is convict labor? Who constitutes corvée labor? That is forced labor. These are men and women, I should say. And I want to say something about women. Women of color recruited for domestic service, recruited as nurses, and of course, reproductive labor for male wage earners. But they're also included in all three C's. Victorian gender norms don't apply to African and Asian women. They still perform the bulk of agricultural labor. They may not make up significant proportions of Asian migrant labor, especially as more limits were placed on migration, but they were left behind to care for children, to work in agriculture or in emerging industries. For black women, African women, besides domestic labor, they were consigned to what would be considered, quote unquote, men's work. They built roads. They worked on plantations. They collected rubber in the Congo. In other words, they're considered what my friend and colleague Sarah Haley calls ungendered labor. They're ungendered, their gender stripped in some ways. It's not just being masculinized, it's basically being recognized as having no gender limits in terms of their labor. At the same time, women were often in positions of being independent producers in the realm of the colonies, whether it means making cloth or growing small plots, vegetables in small plots of land.